doctor, lots of magic, done.
Yeah, it's a good film. All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Reviewers Assemble. My name is Kyle. I'm your host, joined by Victor once again.
Steady Eddie.
I think you've been here for every review so far.
Yes, sir.
Yep, and Nigel, join us for a few now. This is, I think, review number 4 for you.
6.
We had you for Winter Soldier and Guardians 1.
Yep. You had me for Iron Man 3 and
Oh, we did have you for Iron Man 3.
Thor, Dark World.
Oh, and Avengers.
Oh, and Avengers, yeah, that's what it was.
Not Dark World,
yeah,
Avengers, yeah.
It was
Oh,
Avengers.
yeah. So this is number 6 for you. Oh, yeah, look at you.
Look at that.
Number 3.
Pretty solid.
That's
Make it
Almost
through
half
review.
of what we've done so
Almost,
far.
Yeah.
almost. 50%.
Nice. But yeah, thanks for joining us again. So we are reviewing today Doctor Strange. So yeah, just kicking it off here. We're just gonna go right into best scenes.
Yeah,
So
that's around.
what do you guys think are some of the best scenes in Doctor Strange?
Well, let you guys lead it off if anyone's had one.
Do it, Kyle.
All right, you're our guest, Nigel, but we'll let you off the hook for now. Best scenes in here. I just love. I don't know if I can narrow it down to one scene, but I love like the whole opening. So Vic and I talked about this a little bit off camera here. I love just like kind of Doctor Strange's or Stephen Strange's character arc in this movie, where it's like he's such an asshole in the beginning of this movie. Like he is just an arrogant prick. He he can do no wrong. The opening scene is like him like he's like dancing to the music and he's there's like a bullet in there and he's like, I'm just gonna eyeball it, and he like takes the bullet out. He's like dating Rachel McAdams' character, but like I think they're exes.
Yeah.
Or like maybe they just hooked up one time, I don't know, but they have like this sassy back and forth, which is nice. And then there's another doctor. I don't know the actor's name. He looks really familiar though.
He does look familiar. I'm not sure.
I was
I'll
like, if you want to look him up while we're waiting.
That's not the doctor from House, is it? Like
No.
House? That's not the best friend, right?
But I know.
No,
who you're
not
talking
House, the best friend, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
no.
so
Hugh
him,
Laurie.
right?
That'd be
Yeah,
great.
okay,
That would be
thank
great
you.
if Hugh Laurie. Kind of probably should have made
It looked
a
like him a
cameo.
little bit, though, right? I'm not totally crazy? Okay.
Yeah, and like the second doctor, what's his name in here? It's like Nick or something. I don't know. Anyway, the secondary doctor at the beginning of the movie, he they like pronounce this patient dead, and Rachel McAdams comes over, and Doctor Strange or Stephen Strange, as he's known right now, he's like, oh well, why'd you pronounce him dead? Like you can get that bullet out, and they're like, well, we could, but like we're not gonna. Like this guy's as good as done, and Stephen Strange is like, no, I'm gonna save this dude, and so they actually go into the operating room, and they like. The other doctor who like pronounced him dead already, he's like, I'm gonna save this dude, and he actually like miraculously pulls that bullet out of him. So that's cool. And then they have like this kind of like grudge against each other. But we cut to Stephen Strange, and he like is driving through. He's driving like is it like I don't know if it's like a Lambo. He's driving like some kind of like hot sports
Sick
car.
Ferrari or something. Yeah.
He's whipping through. He thinks he's like hot shit. It reminds me a lot of like Tony Stark actually. But he's like got this charisma, and he's like on like Bluetooth or whatever, and he's like, hey, give me what we got. And like Stephen Strange is known at this point for like being like the top surgeon, and he's like, I only will take like challenging cases where he's like,
successful cases.
Yeah, he doesn't want to ruin his reputation. Where he's like, if it's like there's like one case where she's like, 85-year-old woman. He's like, I got a reputation to uphold, and then like they send him this interesting case, and he's like looking at like the MRI on like the middle of his console, and he's like basically texting and driving, and he like goes off the cliff and like crashes his car and just like gets messed up.
Fun fact, I think one of the cases that comes up, I don't know if it's the one he's interested in, but I think one of the cases is actually Rhodey.
Really?
Yeah, so one of the cases is supposed to be like paraplegic and stuff like that, trying to recreate like the bone structure and everything. I think that's Rhodey.
Oh.
You guys are right, because they refer to a couple.
Yeah,
and they
it's
even
ex-military who's supposed to be. Yeah. I think
that's cool.
funny. And the guy that ends up telling Doctor Strange where to go, Doctor Strange turned down his case at the beginning. So like,
when he's at the basketball court.
I agree. Like, unless you have more to say, I was going to build it off.
I'm just saying, there's just a couple of different scenes where like I just love his character arc, where he goes from just an asshole and he's like all about science, and then like we'll talk about it briefly, but like jumping ahead here, he goes to see like the sorceress. What's her official name? Like, we probably
Ancient One.
The Ancient One. He goes to see her, and he's all like, how did you do this? Or you're talking about he's like all about science and the facts, and he's like, I don't believe in like holistic healing or like any of that. And she like throws him out of his astral body or whatever. She pushes him, and there's like this awesome scene where he goes out of his body, and he's like going through all these crazy effects, and he's like, what did you put in that tea? And she's like, oh, just a bit of honey. Like she's like, like
LSD, like
yeah, and it's crazy because like she opens him up to the idea of like this magic in this realm, and then eventually there's like that scene where this guy who has like his arm is amputated or whatever, and she's like, because he's like, oh, I can't make the ring or whatever because my hands are messed up, and he's like, it's not about your hands. And then like the guy with like the nub or whatever, for lack of a better term, he does the ring like no problem, and he's like, oh shit, it is all mental. But I just love the arc from start to finish. I think it's a great character development, and he goes from sort of similar to like Tony, where he goes from being selfish to unselfish. But I think this is like a much more drastic arc where like Tony was cocky, but he wasn't like Dr. Stephen Strange in this beginning of this movie is like an asshole. Like where I was like, wow, Rachel McAdams goes to help him, and like she's like trying to care for him and stuff, and he's like. His fingers are all messed up, and he's like, why didn't you do the surgery better? He's like, you ruined me. He's like, you ruined everything. I'm like, dude, they just saved your life, man. Like, and just from him, beginning of the movie to the end, where he's like, what he becomes is Doctor Strange, and he's just like, I don't want to kill anyone. I don't know. It's just a great arc, and yeah, Vic, I know you want to touch on maybe some of your best scenes.
Yeah, I mean, see, I'm just skipping a little past you and not exactly a specific scene, but I love his training to become, whatever the hell you call him, to become the actual Doctor Strange, like the superhero or whatever. Like, all of the training, like him going into the library and stealing the books right behind Wong's back.
You ever heard of Beyonce? And he's like, listen to Beyonce.
Yeah, like all of that stuff, I just thought was so cool. Honestly, like one of the best character developments of the whole MCU, going from Doctor to superhero, going from Dr. Stephen Strange to Doctor Strange the superhero, or I guess he's not trying to be a hero by any means, but like to develop these powers and become like, is he a wizard? I don't know if they really specify what he is exactly, but like
a mage, I guess.
Yeah, like developing all that stuff.
Supreme is what he's going for.
Sorcerer's Supreme, I just think that part of this movie was so cool. Like, I don't know if there's really anyone who compares to the development of their character like this did.
It's a great development.
Like, Black Panther was already Black Panther. Cap is pretty cool, but, like, he got a super serum and, like, became a beast. Like, Tony created technology. Like, this is just so different.
Well, it's a totally different world. That's
exactly.
Tony is literally, like, he is tech and just brains, and that's how he creates Iron Man and that suit and everything. Strange, that's it's all different
work ethic and education and repetition over and over and over again. He gets better and better and better.
Yeah, it's really cool. Not to cut you guys off. What's really really cool, I think, about this is that Stephen Strange like starts the movie here. He's like king shit, where he like. He's got everything, and he thinks he's like one of the best
like the best
neurosurgeon. Yep, he's like on top of the world. His whole world crumbles because his whole world is so based on like his precise hand movements and everything. His whole world falls apart when he gets in that accident, and then he has to rebuild himself. And he literally like is at the top, goes to nothing basically, where he loses all of his money. Rachel McAdams is like, hey, you've always been spending money faster than you're making it, but now you're spending money you don't even have. And it's like, so he goes to the bottom, and then they have to build a whole new character for him. And it's like, that's like, to your point, Vic, like that character development is outrageous because like Tony Stark, he gets held captive and like builds the Iron Man suit to save his life, and that's a great development. But like, I don't think we ever see a character go from point A to like rock bottom really, and then build himself back up to what he eventually becomes. And it's like,
right.
within like a 90-minute or whatever movie. It's like. Yeah. What about you, Nigel? What do you think?
So actually, mine's the same as Vic. Just that whole development of like him in this unknown world. As soon as he accepts the fact, like, okay, this is where I am now, and he just starts diving into this whole sorcerer stuff and like starts going like through all this, like the scene with him, in that astro body, like watching himself sleep while studying, so that he can keep going even longer, and Wong being like, you got through all of these books already? Like, like it's like 8 volumes. Are you serious? He's like, yeah. And then like, all right, let me take you to the next stuff. It's such a cool scene of it, like watching someone who it's a lot like Tony, which is going forward is what makes this little banter between Tony and Doctor Strange so
really
awesome.
Good. Yeah.
It's just like it's cool to see that character development and see how like he doesn't lose a step as soon as he's accepted the fact that this is where I'm at. All right, let me use all of my talents for the betterment of myself. It's really cool. It's a great
he has
story.
to learn to become selfless. Like because he's selfish at the beginning. He's super selfish, like arrogant, selfish, and he has to literally like he loses everything, like I said, and then he has to become like he has to build from nothing, and it's like he can't even make the circle at the beginning, and then like he eventually builds it. There's that great scene where they throw him in Everest, and then she's like, oh yeah, probably in like 2 minutes he'll die from shock or whatever. And then they're like, should we go get him? And they're like, no, give him some time. And he eventually like goes through the door. But the visuals in this movie are amazing. Like
unreal. I mean, if I could handle 3D without getting sick, this would be one I'd have to see.
It reminded me a lot of Inception with its crazy like it's turning the camera and stuff. But
that's the first thing I can think of.
Honestly, I think this was better than Inception. Where like there are some scenes. I mean, the opening scene.
Literally the opening, the turning the buildings on the side.
The ancient one is fighting the main character. What's the main villain's name? It's
Caecilius.
Caecilius,
yeah. She's fighting him, and it's like, yeah, it's so cool because they're like immediately like changing the buildings, and like she's like throwing them through doors that are opening, and there's like that scene where Steven's fighting them after he gets the cape or right before he gets the cape, where there's like 3 doorways and like one's in like the desert, and he kicks some girl out there, but then he has to like turn the knob, and it's just the visuals are just like out of this world. And I mean, full disclosure, I watched this in 4K, so like I watched it at like highest possible quality I could, and like for me like that's important because I was just blown away at the visuals. Like,
it was good.
Yeah, just a great movie from start to finish.
I mean, for me, worst scene, and I'm actually very high on this movie, even before rewatching it. Worst scene, I still hate the car accident. When you think of a surgeon specifically, you know, someone of that high of skill and talent and power, I don't care how cocky you are, you take certain precautions. Any surgeon, like the guy who just did both of my surgeries, millionaire, he's the chief of surgery at Melbourne Hospital.
He wouldn't be dicking around in a car.
No, he plays baseball still at 50-something years old, maybe even 60. But he's very methodical.
Are you plugging your surgeon right now?
Kind of, yeah. But no, like
are we sponsored?
A little bit, yeah. I've known him my whole life. He's very cool, but he's very weird. He's still he's a little off because
very weird.
When you're that level of genius, you think a little differently. You act a little differently.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And for me, it's like, he wouldn't have ever, like, I don't care what surgeon you are, how cocky you are. I think of, like, Nip Tuck of other surgeons. I don't know if you guys ever watched that show back in the day.
Times, yeah.
Like, those guys were cocky, they were hot, they were, you know, making tits, like, whatever. Like, I just don't see someone taking that risk as a surgeon of that caliber. Plus, although it was cool, the visuals of it, the way they had his hands go into the dashboard, like, it was very cool, and it made sense how bad his hands got mangled. But like, all of a sudden, this Ferrari or Lamborghini that's made of steel, not aluminum, like normal cars that we would drive, like it just folded right into his hand. Like, I don't know. That just
he doesn't go off a cliff though.
I know, like, I get it. I'm just saying, like, the way they emphasized it, that whole scene just was off. Like, it had to happen. It's part of the movie. I just think it should have been filmed a little bit better. Maybe someone just sideswiped him and knocked him off I don't know, but like,
yeah, because he just.
But it did coincide with all of his cockiness of him looking at it, and the phone call was great. No, that guy sucks. Ooh, that's a good one. Send it to me. Like, it coincided well, but the reality was someone of his caliber of genius would have never taken those risks. You know what I mean?
Right. I agree.
So I don't know. What do you guys think? There really aren't a lot of bad scenes in this.
No, it's hard. Nigel, do you have any, off the top of your head, do you have any bad scenes or worse scenes? It is hard. This is a really
It is a tough one because it's like, it's not a lot of like just drastically terrible scenes. I mean, I know it's for the character development and everything like that, but the way he, you know, it's not even a worse scene because I was going to say the character development part of it of like him screaming at, you know, this ex that's taking care of him and everything, like, and him freaking, but at the same time,
that's a good point, though.
He needs to be that way for the character development. So it's
really, and he's frustrated.
He's an asshole,
and it's totally understandable. So
him
it's
doing the rubber
really,
bands thing, like,
right. So it's really not. It's not even a terrible scene, I guess. Yeah, this might be the first movie where I don't really have a worst scene.
Well, these are just your least favorite scenes, so it doesn't necessarily need to
but
be.
That's my point. I don't really have a.
There's some flaws to the plot, I guess.
Yeah,
but
every single scene
is pretty good.
It moves
really
the storyline. It's like
we've
talked in past reviews where like certain scenes you don't like because it doesn't move the story along, or like it could have been avoided and stuff like that. And I guess that's like, what you were talking about, Vic, is the closest thing of like what could have been. You know, you didn't need to do that because like that does seem a little weird that like really you're going 150, like really you were
on a
really
mountainside.
yeah, like if he
Yeah.
again, if it had been like, let's say it, random rainstorm or like it's winter
he hits a
and
deer.
or something weird pops, exactly, like okay, fine, that makes sense, but like that seemed a little but even so, it's just like, okay, he's cocky as fuck, he thinks he's better than everything, he spends
He's
more
already a
than he makes.
superhero in his
So
mind.
so he thinks he's invincible.
He's
So I
untouchable.
guess that makes sense. But like, so I guess I don't really have a scene that sticks out to me as just like, it's so unnecessary. It doesn't move anything forward.
Yeah.
It's like, I guess again, him yelling at Rachel McAdams is, I guess, the one scene is like, I guess that's a little hard to watch because it's like, dude, you are such a dick.
Yeah, he's-
Holy crap! Like
That was
she
really
is
good
so
acting because I was like, wow,
right.
like I don't like this guy at all.
Right, and it's like I guess if we're gonna put like, I don't think I can have a scene that I like hate. It's just maybe the one scene that
Uncomfortable.
is uncomfortable and not as easy to watch throughout the movie, but like it does have character development, does move the plot along. I guess that's the scene, but like really, there's not a scene that I dislike.
Yeah,
throughout
that's
the
all
whole
right.
movie. I guess okay. So there's one other one of. I do not like the fact that again, how. Yes, he's been there for a little bit. He's learned some of these traits. He's studied more than most people in a lifetime in his whatever 6
He's
months
got a
he's there, or
photographic
whatever.
memory.
And he's got all that down, but he still gets away from all these bad guys that attack.
Yeah.
I guess that's a little.
Oh yeah,
but
his
that's
first fighting experience.
yeah, like that.
Yeah.
But
When he gets the cape.
yeah, exactly. But it feels like before, because when the cape comes in, that's a whole nother level. Because he gets now the cape literally has his back.
Mhm.
But like before then, it feels like they could have crushed him pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So I guess, but that's me nitpicking because all of the stuff that goes out there, it's not like something random happens where he he just happened to fall through a wormhole and now he's
Yeah.
away from everybody. No, something does get in the way. He does stop some of these attacks. Okay, so and the bad guys are being a little cocky and not attacking him in full. They're just like, okay, well he doesn't seem like he knows. So again, within those two scenes, it's like there is some plot development there. So it's not really a terrible scene. It's just, I guess those are the only two that, if I'm going to be nitpicky, I guess those are the two I would say are the least favorite.
Yeah, I can't really think of any. Honestly, it's the one scene where it's like cringy almost in a good way. That scene where he's got his hands up. It's got all the needle right after he gets in the car accident. That's like, ugh, just like watching that. I'm like the pain. Like I felt the pain through the screen. Where I was just like, they did a really good job of like making me feel that pain.
It's weird because like. That's obviously way more drastic than my ankle, but like, I see like the pain and the frustration and like I've been told I'll never be 100%, and he knows. I mean, he won't even be 50% without the magic. But like,
yeah, he can't even like do. Like, there's like a cool scene where he's trying to write his name and he just can't even do it.
Exactly.
He's getting so frustrated.
Like I related to it very well, but I mean, for me, it's not like you said, it's not a bad scene. It's just it's sad. It's a dark.
For me, what I didn't like about that scene is that he was still a dick at this point. Where like he's just been in like a
They fucking fix me.
life threatening car accident. Like he gets up and like just the fact that he's alive is great. And so like Rachel McAdams is there. I'm sorry we don't have her character name.
Dr. Palmer.
Dr. Palmer.
Yep.
She's always just Rachel McAdams to me.
Yeah, exactly.
Adorable. But she's there and she's like still supporting him even though he's been a dick this whole time. We think they had like either they hooked up or they dated in the past, or like they have like a cute scene where they're like, oh, I don't date doctors or coworkers or whatever, and he's like, oh, she says like the strange method or something like. So I think they've probably like dated in the past or something. But she's there and like he's just so mad. He's not thankful that he's alive. He's not thankful that like they did the best they could. He's like, you ruined me. Why didn't you do better? And I'm just like, man, you're such an asshole. Like they saved your life. They tried to save your hands and like.
You're still being a dick.
And you're still just like angry because you're like, well, I could have done. Like she says, like no one could have done better, and he's like, well, I could have done better. And it's like, well, dude, you were the one in the car
It's
accident.
like,
So.
don't drive so fast, you dumbass.
Yeah,
like,
maybe
literally.
drive safer. Yeah. So like that's the only thing I can really think of.
Yeah.
Like you said, Nigel, it's like everything pushes the plot forward. Like that's what speaks
This
about
is
this movie.
that first movie that does that. To me,
Yeah.
in this, in the whole MCU right now, it's just every single scene is pushing that story forward.
It's so well made from start to finish where it's like every scene for me, I found myself watching this movie and being like, wow, this is like a great scene, or wow, I can't believe they did this. And it's like even the basketball scene where he goes to he tries out all the different places and they speak to him on the phone and they're like, yeah, that's impossible, we're not going to do it, or we don't need the funds. And he's like, I just need $200,000 or whatever. And he goes to the basketball court where that guy saw the Ancient One on beforehand. And he's like playing basketball, and he's he's like, oh yeah, I remember you. He's like, I came to see you and you turned me down.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, you were impossible. And he's like, yeah, well, apparently not. And he's like, okay, tell me, how did you heal? And he's like, I went to go see, like, whatever, it's not Shambhala, it's, where do they go?
I forget what it's called, yeah.
I forget. But, like, anyway, he's like, go here, and he's like, it's like holistic healing. And he's like, the mind healed the body, whatever. And he's like, that's impossible. But he's like, try it out. And he's like, I took my miracle and I went back home or whatever. And then he goes to see them, and, like, there's this great scene where he, like, waits outside the door for, like, 5 hours. And the guy that leaves at the end that we say... It's
Mordo,
like,
yeah.
Yeah. He says, like, well, he's been outside your door for, like, 5 hours. But he's like, I literally have nothing. He's like, I like, spent my last dollar to get here, and he's, like, waiting there. And, like, that whole sequence is awesome, so...
He has his watch. That's the last thing he has left.
Yeah, and he gets, like, mugged, and then, what's his name? Saves him. Who is it?
Mordo.
Yeah,
Mordo, yeah.
Mordo saves him, and he gives him back the watch, and he's like, "Come over here." I can't really think of, like, honestly, like a worse scene,
No.
because that's probably, like, the only couple scenes I can
Nope.
think of. That
What would you guys say for strongest Avenger overall?
oh, it's Benedict Cumberbatch for me, 100%. It's
I know.
Stephen Strange.
Is that for you, or?
I'm gonna go off a little bit. I like the ancient ones.
See, I'm with you. That's
Tilda Swinton. And I'll go quickly, and we don't have to like blow up about it. But for me,
She's really good.
she's really good. Like she's got like her Uma Thurman thing going on a little bit.
Mhm.
Like a little Kill Bill, like her seriousness, but like not flirty, but like like she's got a little sass to her, which I really like.
Yeah.
I also like that she shows her power through her mind without showing her physical power so much. Like she's already looked in the future. She knows that Stephen Strange is the future to
I
everything.
feel like she's always ahead.
She's always steps ahead, and she's willing to do whatever it takes, even if that means breaking all of their most ancient laws.
Right.
She is the ancient one. She will do whatever it takes
Even
to
if it
save
means
the
drawing
world.
power from the dark realm.
Exactly, and I really thought that was cool. So obviously Stephen Strange is the best character in this, but for me, you got to go off script a little bit. She was just phenomenal. So it's Tilda Swinton. Do you have her, the
What else
actor?
is she in? If you don't mind just
yeah.
clicking on her real quick.
Let's see.
She was phenomenal. I'm
Yeah.
sure she's in something else.
Okay.
Snowpiercer.
Ooh. The second is not good.
Narnia,
Not going
yeah,
as I
no.
planned.
The Grand Budapest Hotel, Trainwreck,
Okay.
The Beach. I remember from The Beach with Leonardo DiCaprio. If you haven't seen that, you have to.
I have not seen that.
It's from 2000. Great movie. He's
2000
so young.
Leo? Nice.
Yeah. Benjamin Button.
Mm.
She has a little scene in Endgame, obviously. Vanilla
Oh, she's
Sky.
already? I don't remember
Yeah.
that. We're gonna have to, I'll have to
She
look
has
that
one
up.
quick little scene.
Yeah, Endgame is when
Hulk
Banner
versus
goes
here.
back
Yeah.
and he's like, Strange told us to. And he's like,
Oh,
wait,
yeah,
Stephen
yeah. She's on like the
Strange.
rooftop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's like,
Yeah.
oh, well, and that's the reason that she gives him the
Mm.
time stone.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree with Vic. That's my strongest Avenger for sure.
Ancient one for you guys?
She's so analytical, so thoughtful, and everything throughout everything she does, and she's so powerful to begin with. But like it's kind of like what we talked about in the last review and everything. It's just she thinks through everything she's doing. She has the power to back it up, but she thinks through. She's not just out there. She's not starting. She's literally trying to bridge that gap and stuff like that, and figure stuff out and talk things through and make things work and everything. And on top of that, personally, like we saw when we did our little review, I love it. She has the best line. It's not about you.
Exactly.
It was just
Yeah.
the overall point of the rest of the movie and the
And that's why he was willing to sacrifice himself.
right. And it's the whole point of the entire, rest
MCU,
of what's the whole point of the rest of Doctor Strange for the rest of the entire series? Like
Yeah.
that's literally his.
He
mantra
plays a
for it,
big
like,
role going forward.
Yeah, it's literally
Exactly.
you are not allowed, if you're gonna stay here, you cannot be about you. You have to be more than that.
What I like about this movie, really quick too, is like Doctor Strange, because of like the magic and the time bending and stuff, and I really like that they do like the mirror world, and they're like, anything you do in here, like it won't affect the real world.
Yep.
And then they try and like lock what's the main guy's name again? Caecilius?
Caecilius, yeah.
Caecilius. They try and lock him in there, and Doctor Strange is like, "Your move, asshole," and he like shows up, and then he just like warps that world or whatever, and like that's really cool. But I think what I'm really excited for Doctor Strange 2, I think they're calling it the multiverse of madness, first of all, multiverse. Whenever you put that in there, dude, like
Yeah, sounds trippy.
anyone's at play. Like
Yeah.
they can bring in anyone probably from any of the MCU. They can probably bring in like dead characters from like.
Oh, you
Like
can bring Tony back if you want.
They,
Like,
Tony,
absolutely.
they might bring in like maybe like Jeff Bridges from like Iron Man 1. Like I mean, who knows?
Who knows?
Anybody,
Yeah.
yeah.
But like anytime you involve like time stone and multiverse, I'm really excited for Doctor Strange too because like I feel like anything is possible. Where it's like, and that's why I like watching this movie where it's like I never know like from one scene to the next what's gonna happen. Like, are the buildings gonna start shifting? Are they gonna start going into this one? Like, it's cool. It's not like Avengers 1 where, oh yeah, we're in New York and yeah, there's a wormhole coming through and stuff, but like this one is like we got different dimensions. You know, we've kind of explored this now with the different Infinity Stones and like we got Dormammu here, you know, and it's like anything can happen. It's like these stones might shift things or like I just love that aspect of it where it's like I don't know what's gonna happen next, but I'm here for it. Like,
Now, looking at this, like the core of people that are heavily engaged in this is really small.
Oh yeah,
Like even like Black Panther, like it expands out
very small
more.
cast.
Oh,
So
no, it's
very-
tiny.
Very
It's
tight
very
cast, like maybe
tight-knit.
6 people.
Yep.
So for me, Baby Arms, it's hard to
choose.
pick someone out. I'm gonna go with the Notebook herself. You know, one of my first crushes as a teenager, Rachel McAdams. Her acting is fine. Like she plays the role fine, but the role was kind of stupid. Like she's clearly the ex-girlfriend, but she's still attached, and like she won't let down her guard to get attached to this guy who she finds like to be a cocky asshole. Like she doesn't want to be with him, but she still loves him, and she's right there by his side the whole time. Like, you know, honestly, that's what love is. You know, I get it. So like, I'm not gonna say that, you know, it's not love, but the character was kind of weak and kind of sad. Like, you're an ER surgeon. Like, you have your own balls. You know, like you can stand up to him. So. Not a bad acting job by any means, just kind of a weak character. Overall, the movie's great. There's really no bad characters. Even Caecilius was good. Was it Dormammu at the end? Like, whatever his name
Those
is.
effects are really cool.
Yeah, real, I mean, trippy
Like
as
the
balls.
face that's like pulsating out.
Yeah, like, so overall, there's no bad characters. Wong was great, and the other dude, like, they were all pretty good. Wong was actually
Wong
fun.
was really
So-
good.
Long's awesome.
I mean, do you guys have, like, a Baby Arms? I don't think there. For me, there really isn't.
For
one.
me, I actually thought it was the main villain, Caecilius or whatever.
Yeah, like he
really?
wasn't great, wasn't bad.
I didn't. I think his design is cool. Where he's got like the eyes that are like like it's clear. I think
He gets darker and darker as the thing goes on.
I think
yeah.
Steven tells him, or Doctor Strange tells him, like, you know, you're drawing power from Dormammu, or Dormammu made you immortal, or whatever. But like, clearly, it's like breaking you down.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool, but like, for me, he was like just like classic like villain. I didn't really understand like first of all who he was. Like, they didn't really give a backstory on him. Like,
I think he was.
He was one
Involved
of the.
with them
He
at
was
one
Was
one
he
of
one
the.
of
He
the
was like
previous,
He was like the
apprentices?
ancient one's like pride apprentice.
yeah, and then he broke.
And then he
Okay.
broke from it to go with the
So
dark stuff.
I
you know?
do like that story a little bit, but like I don't know, it didn't catch me enough where I was kind of like, why is this guy doing this?
Yeah.
They didn't give me enough of him. I feel like where like it was okay. Do you know who played him as an actor?
Let's pull that up.
He looks like a familiar face.
Yeah, he is. He's
Sorry, one tilde right
he's
now.
Mads Mikkelsen.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh. I'm just playing Death Stranding.
Yeah, there you go.
Fucking amazing PS4 game. So.
Hannibal, The Hunt.
Yeah, Mads
Casino
Mikkelsen is
Royale.
amazing. Oh, okay.
He's
I was in Rogue One.
Rogue
huh?
One. Yeah, he's the father in Rogue
who
One.
is
Yeah,
Oh yes.
yeah, he's the father that put
Kind of
the,
a small part, but yeah.
Oh, I love Rogue One.
and yet the most important part,
Yeah.
if you think about it.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
he's the one that puts the Death Star.
Yeah, he puts the
Well,
foot on the
there.
Death Star for all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So, for me, Dormammu was actually my baby arms because, you know, it's this whole thing of this overarching bad guy that has all these plans, and then literally again, Doctor Strange, who has not been in this universe for very long,
Nope.
not in this type of
Couple
power in
months,
very
maybe?
long. Yeah,
Maybe.
and he comes up with this, and again, this really speaks to how strong he is compared. Literally, this time loop that he puts. He's literally had the time stone for like 5 fucking seconds, and he
Yeah.
puts him in this time loop and just renders everything that this overall like horrific entity has, and just literally puts on the back burner. Like, nope. Like, I'm gonna do like literally this guy's playing chess while Dormammu's playing checkers. Like,
Yeah.
literally
that's
just
what it
like
seemed
not even a chance. Like
Dormammu's
literally
not
one
even
move
playing.
done. Like crazy. So like in my opinion, Dormammu is just like, and it's unfortunate because I guess that would be the only part of this movie that like is a little wanting, but again, this movie is so good that they don't even like let you feel that way because like the visual effects in
There's
that
so
scene
much
are
going
so
on.
really
good,
Yeah.
you know, and it's just like you don't even think about it, but like it would literally like a build up to Thanos, and then Thanos gets beaten one move by Captain America or something.
Yeah,
You'd be
yeah.
like, oh well, that wasn't worth it.
Mm.
But like Dormammu is just so the stunning effects are just so cool that you don't even.
Yeah,
think
he
about
doesn't come in till the very end, and then when
Literally
you
the
see him,
last
it's
30
really
seconds.
cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is really just like it's funny because like it's the same scene over and over again. Where he's like, "I've come to bargain," and he's
Yeah.
like,
Mm.
"Yeah."
it.
But
And like he has no plan for it. And just like literally this guy that's been here for 6 months just like got it.
You are kind of
I just
like,
beat the
"Who's
biggest
Dormammu?"
bad guy in
Yeah.
the fucking universe. So
The-
here we go.
The movie's so engaging throughout the whole thing that it's
Mhm.
almost interactive. It's almost like a video game. Like
Yeah.
if we watched it in 3D, I'd be like ready to like square up with people, like
Yeah,
ready to go.
this was a VR.
Oh my
Yeah.
god! Is there a Doctor Strange game on its own?
I don't think so.
Probably not.
But if there isn't, someone should definitely come out with that, especially for the VR.
Yeah, I mean
You
it's fairly cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
not my thing.
No,
but
it's cool.
It is cool. Very cool.
Very cool.
Yeah, no.
How do you guys rate this thing? You got 8s in front of it, 9s. I'd be shocked if there's 7s in front of it.
Definitely not 7.
I'll start. I'll start it.
Good.
I was giving it like an 8.2.
Okay.
You know, it's not. I'll be honest. In my ratings, it's not my favorite, and the only reason is like it does push the whole plot along. Everything's great. It's just there's no one defining scene to me that like just blows
Like
me out of the
grabs
water
you.
in this one. But it's solid. It is a solid 8.2 just the whole way through, and just you know. You
That
don't
is
wanna
fair.
walk
Like
it
it is just like steady Eddie the whole time.
Yeah.
It's good the whole time through.
Yep.
But you're right. There's no airport scene or something like
Exactly.
that, like Civil War. You're right on that point.
Yeah.
Mm.
There's
Yeah.
nothing that really like just grabs you and like doesn't let go, but like it's a great movie. So, but it is a strong 8.2 for me for sure.
Kyle's put a 9 in front of it, aren't you?
Yeah, you read right through me, huh? Yeah, we'll hold off on rankings for now, but for me, I love this movie. Where like I called
Is
this.
this ahead of the caps?
I called this. We're not getting to rankings yet. I'm just saying.
All right. Give me some
Um,
numbers.
so like, for me, I love this movie going into it. Like I remember watching this for the first time a few years ago. This came out. When did this come out? 2012.
no.
No, way later than that.
You're like 15 or 16, right?
15. Do you mind looking up real quick?
Yeah.
This is one of the later ones. Dude.
I didn't see this in theaters. I do remember seeing this like randomly. Like, it was like on demand, Doctor Strange, and I was like, oh, okay. I didn't see Doctor Strange.
16. So
Yeah,
that's
16, right? Yeah.
2016.
Yeah.
Jesus, it's 4 years. It feels like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I remember being like, okay, like I'm not. My expectations were low. I really, really like this movie from the beginning. Every time I watch this movie, it actually gets better every time for me.
For sure.
This is a 9.4 for me.
Wow.
I'm real high on this
I was
movie.
gonna say I figured you thought it was a 9.3.
I-
9.4.
I always call it the most underrated movie in the MCU. Rewatching this movie, I'm like, I was surprised. I was like, holy shit, this
It's
is
so engaging, the whole
It is.
movie.
It is.
I was watching this and I was like, this is a good scene, and then I was like, no, this isn't a good scene. This is a great scene. And like I was watching and I was like, wow, I found myself like audibly gasping, like, wow, I can't believe like this is so well made, or this is so well done, like, and like I don't know, I'm just really, really happy with this movie. So we'll get to rankings in a minute, but
It's awesome.
what about
Wait,
you,
wait,
Vic?
wait.
I have, it's a cluster in here. I have an 8.6.
That's high for you.
So you guys already rated it. It is high for me. I
You're
feel like I
kinda-
need to like increase my scores a
You're,
little
you're
bit
kind of
here.
like Garrett, where I think Garrett is
There you
probably our most strict reviewer, where I think like his highest score is like mid 8s.
Can we get a
Yeah.
call in from Garrett really quick?
No, he's
Like-
dead to us today. Love you, Derek. G baby. So I'll go right into my rankings since I dropped my score. So
What did you have for scoring?
8.6.
8.6, okay.
So I have Black Panther 1,
Mm-hmm.
Age of Ultron 2, Doctor Strange 3, Avengers 4, Winter Soldier 5. And it's kind of all over the place, and it feels like a little like jumbled for me, and I feel like I'm going to reevaluate my rankings, but not my scores.
Anytime if you need to rank, like we talked about last week, where like I don't know, whatever it is, I'm feeling Black Panther, and I'm like, I might move that up.
You know, for me, it's just like you've always expressed, is I look at each movie differently.
Yep.
And I feel like I'm not ranking them the same, if that makes sense. So like I'm analyzing them and scoring them based off of my own personal opinion of that movie, of that time. I'm not
Yep.
comparing them to each other. But then when I rank them, I need to like reorganize a little in a sense. But
I think that's fair.
Doctor Strange is easily a top 3 for me so far. Easily. I mean, I still think it's the best character development of every superhero in this.
It's really good.
For
It's
me.
great.
How do you guys rank it?
Magic, go ahead.
Okay. So yeah, it actually didn't break my top 5,
Do you want to bring it
but
back?
I went Guardians, Iron Man 3, Black Panther, Captain America: Winter Soldier, Age of Ultron, Civil War, and Doctor Strange came right below this.
So Strange is what, 7th?
Yeah, actually.
7th? Okay.
So, but it's
That's not bad.
No,
I
it's
mean,
not,
You have
again-
Guardians 1, so it screws everything up.
I like Guardians.
we
It's not as much
just
as
need
mine.
some kind of like little precursor there.
Yeah.
When I come back to that Guardians was number 1, so Vic has his shot.
It's good.
We'll remind everybody.
It's good that we have different.
It's such a good movie, but again, it doesn't have. It has some great moments and stuff like that. Like the scene with Dormammu, that little twist he has there. The scene coming off of where he comes off the hill and everything, and then you go through the whole surgery scene and everything. Those are big pungent points, but like you don't get those big moments like the tarmac scene in Civil War,
Yeah.
or the Iron Man. Tony's emotional scenes are just crazy good. You don't get the Cap reveal when he gets the serum and stuff like that. And he comes out of the pod. There's just no real.
So you needed some
moments.
shirtless sex appeal.
Exactly.
Okay.
If Benedict Cumberbatch wants to come out in some shirtless scenes, I guess we could maybe
He's a
rank
fit
it up
dude.
high.
He's a tall, skinny guy. If he
Right.
has a 6-pack, I'm into
He's a
it.
tall-
I guess, but like then maybe we'll change the scores up. But like the point is that there's just nothing that really grabs you throughout the entire movie, or at least it doesn't grab me that makes me want to rank that a little higher. And that's not to say it's a bad movie. It's just at this point we're 15 movies in at this point.
It's
14?
Is this 15?
14.
14? Okay, so we're 14 in. So these top 7 for me are these are solid. These are tough to move movies.
It's hard.
Solid.
It's like 1 and 1A when you start moving things around.
Exactly. So like these are just really good. So there's no real complaints. They're good.
Yeah. That's what's nice is that the MCU quality is so high that you can kind of shuffle these around at any point.
Right now it starts to get into a whole thing of like just what is your MCU movie?
Yeah, and it should be your individual rankings, which I think is nice because you can have Guardians 1 and you can have
Guardian 0. That's fine.
what do you have for one?
1?
Yeah. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
Black Panther.
Yeah, you move Black Panther to.
Yeah, so you have Guardians, you have Black Panther. That's what's nice is that like our lists are all different. I know Garrett's list is different. I think he's got Avengers higher than most of us do, especially me because I wasn't very high on Avengers. But like that's what's nice is that the variety is different, and like the MCU, that's what makes it so good is that it's whatever you like. You might like this movie. I know you're higher on Iron Man. I know we liked Iron Man too, but we're. Yeah.
I got a little higher up there for sure. 3 was a lot higher than you guys.
Yeah.
For sure.
So for me, this is number 1 for me. Like this is a new number 1.
That's the one, alright.
Doctor Strange. I really, really, really like this movie. One of my favorites. I just couldn't believe the quality. It just feels like they've learned so much from. This is what? Yeah, we said the 14th or 15th movie. I think 14th. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Either way, it's like they've made a bunch of these movies by now. They've kind of seen what works. They've introduced different elements. This is an origin story too, which I feel like we forget. Where it's like, no one knows who Doctor Strange. At least in the MCU, no one knows who Doctor.
I
Strange
had no
is.
idea what the hell Doctor Strange was.
No one, similar to Ant-Man that we did a couple weeks ago. I don't think anyone really cared about Doctor Strange. I know he's like a big comic book guy. I'm not into comics, even though I love like all this nerdy shit. But like I didn't care about Doctor Strange. And then I saw this movie. I like Benedict Cumberbatch. I really haven't seen him in much. I haven't seen like Sherlock Holmes, which I heard is really good.
Oh, definitely watch that for sure.
Yeah, I heard those are good. Also, I think it's another Sherlock Holmes, but Robert Downey Jr. is in Sherlock Holmes, but that's the other one, right?
They're both so good.
Which is kind of funny because
either
we
one.
should have like a crossover where it's like both of them.
You do that.
Sherlock
that
v.
sounds
Sherlock,
good.
yeah.
They're awesome.
I love this movie from start to finish. I mean, I just was blown away really at like how good this was, and for me it goes at number 1. Then we have Winter Soldier at number 2. I'm actually I had number 3 with Civil War. Doing 2 swaps this week, so we're putting Doctor Strange number 1, and Black Panther is jumping up there. So
cool.
Sure.
That's my new top 5 there.
So I mean, 2 movies in the past, couple of reviews are right there at our top 5s, essentially between the 3 of us.
Yep.
Just about. So I mean,
we're hitting like the
coming
cream
to the
of the
last
crop.
6-7 movies. I mean, it's getting tight at the top.
you can tell the MCU like really hit their stride.
Oh yeah.
This is, I don't know if this is phase 3 or phase 4 officially, but like you can tell like they're finding that formula, like really perfecting it and being like, here's a hit, here's a hit, here's a hit. Like, some
Well, it's like you were just saying, the last few, because if you look at it, Black Panther actually, you know, you guys reviewed it early and everything, but it's like, that one comes in right around now, and it's like, that would have went way up on everyone's rankings, you know? Like, for Vic, that's number 1 for you still, right?
What?
For Black Panther?
Absolutely.
Yeah, Black Panther for you, number 1, that's 4 for you, that's 3 for me. Like, that shoots up, and that's an origin story as well. Like, those all shoot up the list. So they were, you know, that back half of what they were doing, they really hit their stride and everything. So
not only did they introduce new characters, but they made exceptional movies about them, and they made you care. Oh, now I care about Ant-Man. Now I care about Black Panther. Now I care about Doctor Strange. It's like 3 characters I never gave a shit about.
Let's not forget about the Hulk origin too.
Oof.
Just kidding.
Or we can.
We did forget about that until they wanted to bring Ross back in last movie.
Not true. Okay, you guys. As far as I'm concerned, Hulk origin story is definitely the first Avenger.
My favorite Hulk movie is Ragnarok. Okay, so
it's true. Fact.
He is actually Hulk is very good in Ragnarok.
No,
so
Bruce.
Baby, I think he calls him baby. I think this is where the baby arms comes from, actually, or puny arms or something. I forget. Yeah, it calls him. Cool. Yeah, so. Yeah, but that's our review of Doctor Strange. So if you guys enjoyed this, thanks for checking out the channel. Please go check out the other content that we have. Go check out the other MCU review movie. Not reviews, the reviews. But also go check out the movies. And thanks for stopping by, and until next time.
Thanks, guys.